All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Card Talk, our final episode for Season 1. And today's episode is going to be a little bit different than normal, right? We're going to give you the best of from Season 1. So this is going to be some of our wins here, some of the things we've talked about on the show that have gone in our favor, and then some of our losses, right? Some of us are going to be eating our words here. So we're going to bring on Jason. He is one of the producers of the show. He is the content guru for Card Talk. So we're going to bring him on here for this episode, and he is going to lead us through the discussion for our wins, our losses, and some of the best of for Card Talk this year. So Jason, welcome.
This is a big moment in my life, Ryan. I've been promoted to the majors. This is exciting.
Don't get too crazy now. Don't get too crazy.
Let's not underrate the fact that he bought a microphone and a headset for this. Just putting that out there.
He's dialed in.
I mean,
listen, you got to take one for the team.
That's my guy.
All right, so we're going to turn it over to Jason for this. He is going to lead the episode, and basically we're going to go through different takes here, and then Lou, Tyler, and I will just discuss them on the fly.
All right, great. So, I mean, basically from the start of this, you guys, I mean, just going back on, producing content around all these episodes and everything, some things stick out in my mind as some big wins and big losses that you guys have taken throughout the, throughout the 25 weeks. And so I just want to play some of them and then get some reactions from you guys,
Here we go.
looking back on them. So we're going to start off actually with a take from Lou in the first episode before Lou even had a microphone. See, I go out and I get a microphone for the show, but Lou didn't even have a microphone for the first show. And
actually, let's talk about that. I did have a microphone. I specifically purchased a microphone for the show, but it didn't work. And what ended up happening was Cal, who works for Gallery as well, drove this one that we have now to my house. So this was the only episode.
I remember that
microphone. Yeah.
He dropped off.
Those are the good days, man.
Yeah, no, remember we did our practice shows, whatever, it was fine. And then we went to record the first episode and it wouldn't work.
Yep.
It's classic.
Yep.
All right, well, let's kick it off. We right off the bat, Lou came out firing with his first win of the season.
Interesting.
Oh, it's a win. Okay, great. This is perfect.
This is a win.
I truly believe that SOTO is like the most underpriced guy right now. His Topps Update PSA 10s are only like $130, and he's definitely the most electric player in the league and the most exciting player in the league. So I would put my money into SOTO before I put into anyone else.
And he's already won a title.
Exactly.
So basically, that card that Lou was talking about that was selling for $130 when that came out is now selling for about between $210 and $225. So if you listen to Lou, that was a W.
I still could thank you, Jason. Big W for me to start it off. Love that for myself. But I love Soto. I think he as the season, it was a weird baseball season, obviously, but coming out of that, I think a lot of people would expect Acuna to be ahead of him right now in card prices, just because people love Acuna. But I believe now Soto's sitting around 200-ish, 225-ish, and Acuna's down to 155, it was flipped this time last year.
Wow,
so,
I did not know that.
Yeah, I believe. We could check on it, but I'm pretty sure he's down to the 155 range. So, I still love Soto. I think it's Soto, Tatis, Acuna. I hold firm in that belief.
I think it's just important. Like we mentioned this a lot with Mahomes, but when you're a young superstar and you're able to get a win like that so early in your career, I just think it just really increases your trajectory, right? Like again, Mahomes is the easy one to talk about because what all he's done, but with Soto, right? Like Acuna hasn't won, Tatis hasn't won. Like Soto already has the ring, and I think a lot of these guys now have winning priced into their cards, right? So what they're going to be, but Soto's already won it. So good take out of you, Lou.
Soto has the ring, and he's one of like 4 people that plays professional baseball that has an ounce of charisma.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, he's super cool. Tyler, you want to give me some love for that? Thank you.
Yeah. I was just looking up a couple of things. Baseball season starts April 1st.
That's
so
true.
we're kind of in the cycle of things might be low right now before they start to heat up.
Yeah, I just checked. Acuna's at 155.
And Soto's at?
Soto is.
He was at about like between 210 and 225.
Last one for 285, 279, 200. Yeah, it's like 2. Those are buy it now. So call it 225.
Interesting. Cool.
All right. So I'll take it to the next one. The next one I think is probably one of the biggest W's of the entire season.
It's by me,
And
right?
it was Ryan before NBA even came back. I'll just let it play out.
Oh yeah,
Was the
let's
one that led
go.
me in this direction, and I've looked at it. I think Tyler Hero really makes a lot of sense. The Heat are a sneaky good team. They've got depth. They've got a lot of talent on that team. They have a shot to go far. He's a top 5 rookie right now. Shoots the lights out. I think Hero's one guy I'm really looking at. Again, we've mentioned Jaylen Brown. We've mentioned Porter Jr. A lot of the younger guys that aren't at the Luka, Trey, Zion type level that really can benefit from this. But I think for me, the number one guy on my radar that's going to play when it resumes is Hero, probably.
It was a good take. All right, it was a good take.
And I remember so vividly getting blown up because that was the conversation around under 25 to invest in. And I remember getting destroyed on that Instagram post when everyone's like, Luke, and again, Luka's great. Luka is the top 3 player in the league. I'm not arguing Luka. The only argument I was making at the time was just in terms of value, right? Like, this is about the value you're going to get out of Tyler Hero and what he's going to be in the short term. Luka wasn't going to the title. The Heat were deep. I thought it was like the Heat have a shot, and they did. So, yeah, that was kind of my take with that. It was Luka's great, and I love Luka long term, and his stuff is going to continue to rise. I just thought in the short term, at the value you were getting Hero at, it just made more sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's an all-time W, and I would say it's probably the premier rivalry in the Card Talk universe.
For sure.
Tyler Schmidt versus Tyler Hero. And, it's a tough L for Ty.
And I just love this because I mean, I feel some general, appreciation for my man Lou, because he was also on the Tyler Hero train with me. We've had conversations on the show, Lou and I together, about Tyler Hero, but there's always one of us who's never been on that train, and that's that man right there. True. Right. So, Lou, I really appreciate the credit there. Ty, you got anything to say about this, or? Yeah,
I just don't think it's gonna add up eventually.
Ryan, just to add some context to it, actually, it actually makes us an even bigger W than it previously was. This wasn't from that quote was not from the conversation you guys were having about the players under 25. You doubled down on it during that. This was like 2 months before that, even better. And you were on the Tyler Hero train. I think this was back in in July or something like that. So this was that other conversation later.
Pre-bubble.
Yeah, that was pre-bubble.
Yep.
And
pre-bubble.
I respect Tyler Hero. I respect his game.
I don't think you do.
But at the end of the day,
you just held up a trash can, brother. You can't be saying you respect him. You just held up a trash can.
I do. I just, for what you guys make him out to be, it's like, what are we talking about here?
We're talking about one of the biggest wins in Card Talk history.
The guy can't even get to the rack on a good defense.
Look, here's my question. Has Luka ever been to the finals?
Or put up 30 plus in a conference championship? 30 plus in a conference championship?
Okay.
Something to consider.
I got it.
All right. Well, this is not going to be the Card Collector 2 W show, because kicking off our first of the L's, Lou asked Ryan if he had to invest in one football player before the season, who would it be?
Oh, God. This is a terrible take. Oh, God.
Oh, boy.
That you're going to be able to hold on to for as long as you want. And then you're going to go buy a card before you go.
Drew Lock. Oh, yuck. The unknown, right? So much of the card market now is driven by the unknown. What is Drew Lock going to be? Terrible. Well, that's coming up the alley too. This is going to be a bunch of L's.
You got L's coming in.
I think, first off, we'll go down this path.
You want to just keep it going?
Yeah, you can keep going. Then I was going to go to the Patriots take that I had, where I think I actually laid out exactly word for word, bar for bar, Soldier Boy stole his flow, what would happen to them this season when Ryan said they were winning the AFC Championship.
Let's talk about Drew Lock a little bit.
Yeah, we can go there.
Right. What was your thought process then? You said the unknown, right? I think, and we talked about it during the show, so you weren't fully unaware of it, but we talked about Drew Lock being like driven by like one Instagram video. It was like a huge piece of his popularity, right? Like going into the season.
Yep.
And the Broncos haven't been as good as we thought they were going to be, and he was hurt. He was hurt a little bit too, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he had a slow season, and it happens, but it's a tough L.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing was they invested so much. They had so many pieces in play, right? You got Hamler and Judy. You drafted Alberto. You signed Melvin Gordon. Like they had pieces in play. I mean, defense is good, right? And it just didn't work out that way. I mean, he just had a 4-touchdown game a week ago. But when I watch him now, I'm just not sure he's the real deal. So definitely an L on that one for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So in the NFL preview, Ryan came in hot. We got a lot of Jet fans in the mix over here. And obviously Ryan's a Patriots fan and came in with his Patriots gear, talking his Patriots trash. And this is amongst one of the biggest L's that any one of you guys took all season.
Just think it's worth mentioning. I know there's a lot of optimism around other teams in the AFC East, but until someone takes it, I'm going to say Patriots for the AFC title this year.
Like AFC Championship, like they're going to win the AFC Championship?
No, the AFC East. Cam Newton's going to give us enough games. I mean, like in the AFC East, the last couple of years, what do you got to win? 8 games? 9 games?
Yikes. That's
You didn't know. Fuck. You cut the clip?
That's it.
No, the next part of the clip is how I tell them exactly what happens.
Sorry, man. We're strapped for time.
I'm getting.
You know what?
Right now.
You know what? I'm going to say something here. While we didn't win the AFC East, right? We've won a lot, 11 to 12, I think. The best part about this is the Jets couldn't even do their own job enough to lose enough games to get the number 1 pick. You had to win a damn game.
Yeah, this is awful.
So in the end,
Don't
it was worth it.
flip it and reverse it. Like,
in the end, it was worth it.
Absolutely, because the Jets 10 more years of relevancy.
the Patriots all of a sudden are just another football team.
Yeah, like what are you talking about? You can't deflect off of we're just the normal losers now, like everybody else. Like also, you guys are worse than us.
Meanwhile, Tom Brady's going to the playoffs in Tampa, so we're good with that.
Mediocre.
All right, so this was an interesting one because there are 5 L's taken and only 1 W in this one. We have our 2019 NBA Finals predictions.
Yeah, this is where I call the Nuggets being great.
I am going to go Raptors.
L.
Clippers.
L.
Finals.
Terrible. I'm going to go out on a limb. I want my guy LeBron to win, so I'm going to go old school here. I'm going Lakers, Celtics. I want to see Tatum make it. So I'm going to go Celtics, Lakers.
I got the Nuggets and the Lakers playing each other in the Western Conference.
I was like, that can't happen.
And I got the Nuggets
W.
going
Interesting.
to the chip.
That's a lot of Michael Porter Jr.
I got the Nuggets
that
going
answer.
to the chip. I got that. A really deep
Who in the East?
team. And in the East, I have the Bucks.
That is.
Oh, no.
This is about to get great. I'm going to love this.
I'm going to open because I took the double L, right? So credit to me for owning my double L. But when you're thinking about the Raptors, I was thinking about a veteran team that was in a weird situation and they could stick together and get to the finals. I didn't anticipate Tyler Hero being even better than I realized. So that's on me for that. On the Clippers side, bad job by me to trust Kawhi. I'll never trust Kawhi ever again for as long as I live.
But in Lou's defense, I mean, the Clippers were probably the better. I would assume that had to be the betting favorite, right?
Yeah, they blew a 3-1 lead.
I mean, they had to have been the betting favorite. They almost didn't. They how many games did the Nugget or the Mavericks beat them? 2 games. It went to 6, didn't it?
Yeah, it went 6.
Yeah, 1-6.
And what's his name was on one ankle, Luka.
Well, Luka. So
yeah, Jamal Murray cards though are like $850 right now. Dude,
I got a Jamal Murray select rookie the other day.
I have a Prism that I overpaid for by a decent amount. I think it was the first purchase I made on StockX, and I used the UI wrong. I paid $120 for Jamal Murray base prism PSA 10, and I think they were going for like 90, and I was kicking myself. I think they're like 850 right now.
Ty, that wouldn't be the first time you've overpaid for a nugget.
No, that's not true, actually. No, he's trying to make a Michael Porter Jr. joke.
I'm just
Just
saying.
Just pay attention. Just watch.
I'm just saying.
Just let that run out. This will be a clip.
I mean, Lou, as long as we are doing card talk, this will be the longest test of time is Michael Porter Jr. going to be good? I mean, we're going to talk about it forever.
Not. It's this year or not.
Ty, it's kind of a little bit like our Hackenberg situation we had back in the day.
Yeah, but not really, because Hackenberg like never played and was really
no, it's
really
in terms of like lifetime bets and stuff like that. Like
I mean, Michael Porter Jr. dropped 20 points in 18 minutes the other night.
And Tyler Hero put up 30 in the Eastern Conference Finals and played in the finals.
That's fine. Like, I don't.
So sure, MPJ put up 22 in a preseason game. That's sweet. When's the first time he's ever played in a preseason game? Because he's never healthy.
He also had 8 rebounds.
Wow, in a preseason, playing against dudes you'd never heard of.
Keep going.
All right. Well, in the next clip, one of the most infamous clips, possibly the most infamous clip in the history of Card Talk Pod. Ryan actually, this is an underrated part of this clip. Ryan may wind up hitting a huge W on this one with his prediction. Tyler, unfortunately, not so much. Let's go to it.
I had the best take of them all.
To MVP. So, what do you guys got there?
I'm going to go with Russ.
That's a great pick. That seems like the obvious choice 3 weeks in.
Thank you.
I'm going to go a little bit more towards Tyler's route. I'm going to say Rodgers.
I think I'm going to take Ryan Tannehill.
Oh, my God.
First off, he's had better odds increases than, but you also took Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, neither of which are relevant at all.
Are you serious? Are you watching the NFL?
Took like the dead on.
Mahomes is going to win the MVP. So
like Cam
was the other guy I was going to take.
Cam was the other guy.
but I didn't take Cam. And first off, Lou said Cam, so get him up out of here real quick. And
okay,
this is our actual predictions.
Yeah,
Tannehill aren't they 10-4 right now?
that's great. Currently, the MVP odds. Can you pause that for 1 second, Jay?
No.
Currently, the MVP odds is Mahomes minus 240, Aaron Rodgers plus 190, the Buffalo quarterback plus 1,500, Russell Wilson plus 5,000, and Derrick Henry plus 5,000. Where would you put Ryan Tannehill if Russell Wilson's plus 5,000?
Both not going to win it. So,
He's
like,
off
what are we
board.
talking about here?
Okay.
Plus 5,000. Like,
Okay,
Russell
great.
Wilson.
Listen, we're just
Didn't
all
they
we're doing
lose
is
to the Giants at home the other day?
we're going through the
Your
history of the
MVP
show.
quarterback.
We're going through the history of the show, Ty.
Got
You
it.
know what
I
I'm
think
saying?
it's more laughable where Russell Wilson's ended up than Ryan Tannehill.
Okay.
Yeah.
I took my biggest L of the season behind the scenes by buying Russell Wilson Prism rookies at like 780. They're down to like 350 now. So that MVP,
Always just not good enough.
yeah.
Tannehill's plus 10,000, just so we're on the same page.
It's the same shit.
Who's got second best odds?
Aaron Rodgers, that's a good job by you. Crushed that one.
That's a real good job. He might actually.
Cool, I
he's
get
gonna
it.
win.
He's not
Nah,
going to win.
Mahomes is going to win. Mahomes is by far the best player in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so is LeBron every
so-
year. And they give
Yeah, you're
awards
right.
to other people.
Yeah, you're right.
All right. So throughout the time in the 25 weeks that we've been recording, there have been some just absolutely astronomical record-breaking sales on cards. I mean, starting off with in July with the LeBron James RPA exquisite that went for about $1.8 million, and then in August, a month later, we had Mike Trout go over $4 million, and then the Giannis card went for $1.82 million, breaking LeBron's record and everything. So I want to revisit because I think it was cool. Like when those things would pop, usually over the weekend, we would come and record the next day and get the immediate reactions to some of these. So I just want to play some of these as they went and get your guys' reactions.
Mainly about me talking about Gretzky all season. Because there's definitely clips of that.
So Sports Center posted the sale, right? This is when the sale happened. It got national attention. $1.8 million for one basketball card.
Yep.
Right? Buyer bought it. Sports Center posts about it, who the guy was, and the sale price of this card. And then LeBron goes and comments, I actually own. I think he said something like, "I own a few of these."
I have a few. I know someone
with the class.
with the little eye.
Yeah, that has a few of these.
Where do you guys land on that stuff now?
That card?
Yeah, like where do you think that value of that card has increased by a dramatic amount in this time period, or do you think it's back to where it was before?
I think if it sold right now, it'd sell for over $2 million.
Yeah. There's just so much money coming in. There's more money being printed, more money needs to go places, and it's now a viable alternative investment.
Yep, and those cards are just not becoming for sale. Like they're not coming up. You're not seeing them. So yeah, I just think the next time you're gonna have somebody else with another fund that buys it and puts it in their portfolio and makes everybody's gonna want in on it.
Yeah, and the even since we started this, the rise of these fractional investing platforms and opportunities is just going to juice and gas them even more.
But I think this is a good point to point out that since that time period, look at all of the athletes that have posted about cards and what that means, right? Like we saw Lefko the other day retweeting Mahomes talking about Travis Kelce's rookie that Lefko sent him. Like Mahomes talking about it, LeBron talking about it, Giannis posting his cards and his story. Like these athletes posting the picture or like discussing the cards, just I think cannot be a bad thing for the card market. Not at all.
Right. So then we jumped to the SGC 10 Michael Jordan Fleer rookie. And let's play this clip.
Mm-hmm. We talked about with the gold.
SGC.
Oh, yeah, the Messi drip on
sale. Lou, I think you've got a little bit more info on this than I do, but it sounds like it was north of $400,000 for a gold label SGC 10 Jordan.
Yeah.
Sound right?
Yeah, it finished at $420K. Like you said, SGC pristine, SGC 10 pristine, one of one in that way. As the story goes, Heritage actually got the card raw, and they decided to send it into SGC to get graded, and it came back in pristine. So they put it up, and it went crazy.
I wonder. It's funny. It's funny how much different the perspective is on those Jordans now. Like 420 sounded so crazy for that at the time, and I don't think. Like, what do you think that does now? 550, 600?
Honestly, I don't think it would sell for that.
You don't think it would sell for 420?
A PSA 10 just sold for 208.
Yeah, but listen, the three of us have our thoughts on what or myself and Ryan do at least on what SGC is. But the pristine is the pristine. That's not that's
a PSA 10 besides a BGS 10 in the hobby. A PSA 10 is to me. I'm taking a PSA 10 over an SGC 10. Again, we can argue that forever, but I'm not paying
gold.
Yeah, I'm not paying 2 or 3x PSA 10 price for an SGC 10 Jordan. It's just there's no way. I mean, I'm obviously not buying it.
Wasn't a PSA 10 then like 125?
I think they were about 80.
Okay, so then it was way more than that. So then it should be higher than 420.
Yeah, 5x. That would make it $1 million card at current valuation.
Ryan, just for context, what was a Michael Jordan Fleer PSA 10 going for at the last national?
I want to say $30,000.
Yeah.
The answer is 35K.
Yeah, 9s were under 10 Gs.
That is wild.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I have some photos of like Ronaldo rookies that are not anything you want to see or know about.
All right. So then we had a couple guests, Pokemon related guests on the show. Obviously, this has been the season of Pokemon. 25 weeks, we've seen just crazy explosive growth in the Pokemon market. Kicked off by Jeremy Padower, who was on the show early on. And I think that he purchased a whole PSA 10 set of the first edition for $125,000.
Yeah, $125,000.
And I want to get his take at that time, and then let's talk about that.
What I focus on as a collector is the highest grade, lowest population items that I can possibly find, and anything that's historically relevant within a brand. So, for instance, with Pokemon, right? A lot of people, including me, went after the 1999 first edition Shadowless Fate set, right? It is the granddaddy of all the sets, or you would think, right? That's the first one in the English market. And so I bought one of the 11 registered PSA, all PSA 10 sets. Dude, it's up 50% in like a month and a half. since I got it.
Amazing.
You know why? Because I saw the opportunity. I saw that the individual cards were selling for way more than the entire set.
He said
That was the play of the year.
50%. He said that was up. He paid 130K in June. It was up 50%. What Charizard is what? 350 now.
Is that
Or Charizard.
a
Forget
what's
about
that?
everything else.
What's that set worth now? Half a mil, 600,000.
No, probably like
I think one of the moments, I'll say this, I don't think I'll ever forget the rest of my life what has transpired in Pokemon over the last 18 months in its cultural relevancy and our proximity to it. And it's been pretty damn cool. And it won't be the last thing. And I would say there's all different things that have happened to it. Obviously, the high end first edition stuff's gone crazy, but I think the coolest thing has just generally been the conversations with the people that I would have never thought of sitting around talking Pokemon cards with
ever in my life.
like, and it's pretty sweet. And here's my own. I sent in my own from my binder personal Charizard as a kid collection, unlimited, got it back as a PSA 7. This was the first card I ever sent in and got graded. And it's just fun. It just helped reconnect with a lot of different people. And there will be more and more opportunities are out there. I think if there's anything to learn, IP is obviously crazy. Pokemon was sitting there. It was sitting there. Pikachu, first edition Red Cheeks, were sitting on eBay for $550 for a very long time.
I'm just gonna put this.
That's not
out there.
the only thing in the world that exists like that. That's what I've learned from this.
That's
whole thing.
100% true. One of the big things is there's always more opportunities and there's always lessons to be learned. The biggest lesson I learned from Pokemon: no one championed Pokemon harder than me and Tyler. That's not true. Of course, there are people who were Tyler and I championed it very hard. If I would have put 10% of the money I've spent on cards into Pokemon at that moment into Pikachu, like I wanted to, and I knew Red Cheeks was the one, I'd be in a much different position today.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think the lesson is like, number one, trust your gut. You should trust your gut a little bit once you really feel good. And also, like, I don't feel sad because like I learned a lesson and I've gotten better because of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I also want to say that Pokemon's getting back into a interesting little buy territory. Just putting that out there.
All right. Well, Lou, with the fire segue into our next segment, because talking about lessons learned, that is the next segment. Throughout the course of the 25 weeks, right, guys, we've had a lot of things that have come up, you know, bold bowls, crazy rise overnight, Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's crazy almost overnight rise and fall. There were a lot of lessons learned throughout the season. I think you guys were ahead of a lot of it. You know, as if people listened in real time to the advice that, you know, that you guys were giving when it comes to, well, I'll just play the clips and I'll let them speak for themselves and I'll let you guys talk about them.
I know we had a discussion about this personally. We are not grading experts, but looking at this card, it's got an SGC gold label, and for them that's like a perfect 10, can't get any higher type deal. And I think it would be safe to say that if we compared this card to higher grades from other companies such as BGS or PSA, that this likely would not compare to those cards. When you're buying graded cards, buy the card, not the grade. Shortly after lap.
That's definitely a big one for vintage, right? Like, I think when it comes to, you know what, that might not be true. Brian, you can tell me. I think when it comes to vintage stuff, you definitely have to pay a lot of attention to card, not the grade. And you have to have a good eye for that stuff because, you know, I think we've even seen some really high grade vintage cards recently that come back and people post them and it's like, there's no way that's like an 8-9. Like, they're off center. There's something wrong with the sides. Like, I think with vintage you have to worry about that. Modern, not as much, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert in vintage, and it's just not something I'm super attached to. So to speak on it would be naive. But we talked about this 5 minutes ago. That Jordan, if we, like I said at the time, if we compared it to a PSA 10, you're going to assume that's probably not a PSA 10. It might have a shot, but that's why I go back to paying 3-4x on that card compared to a PSA 10. I just think long term PSA is going to be the brand a true collector, a true investor will want is the 10, PSA 10 Jordan. I just think, I mean, besides I don't even know if there's any BGS 10 Jordans out there, but I mean, if those are, that they'd probably be more desirable. Maybe, but to me as a collector, I mean, I would prefer a PSA 10. So yeah, that's what I just go back to. If there's obvious flaws on there, buy the card, not the grade.
Got it. And on this next clip, I'm sorry.
I think that one, being aware that things can change is becoming more and more. The amount of things that have changed over the last 8 months in general, I think things can change faster than we perceive and believe, which makes me think that there is some opportunity in Beckett and SGC. I think that at the end of the day, that whether it's Moody's or pretty much the thought of like these grading companies they give validity to the investment or what have you. That doesn't mean that it's end all be all. Like if I think about equities and price targets, which is actually crazy. Like banks put out price targets for stocks, not that far off from being like, that's going to be an X amount of card. But there's insurance things that have been graded high or, from a third rate, like version of a Moody's or what have you, Standard & Poor's. Things can change. And so that I think is buy the card because there's more risk maybe in even a lot of people doing crossovers from 9.5s to PSA 10s and all that. Same way that there are opportunities sitting there. Just like there are cards on eBay right now that are being sold raw because people are too lazy and they don't care to get them graded or they're not educated about them, that you could buy for $250, wait 8 months, get them graded, be patient, and they're worth $1,500.
Or Tyler Hero Blue Ice Prisms, which when we start the shop. But
yes,
I think the same way about. I think the opposite about SGC and BGS, right? Like, what if you're saying the things change, right? Eventually, people start to want SGC and BGS. What if it's the opposite? What if people realize PSA is by and away the leader, and it pushes PSA up even more and more and more, and makes the gap that much bigger? And maybe PSA is the one that's underpriced right now.
That's possible, but you'll also then be sitting with SGC 10 card at way lower cost. And what happens if you then crack it and submit it to PSA and it gets a 10?
Yeah, 100%. I think it lends itself more and more to focus on the card.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
All right, so obviously basketball was just crazy hot. Earlier on in the season, like ridiculous, like everything was just skyrocketing, and it was like the perfect storm of events because Bowl comes out in a preseason game, has a big game, and the prices skyrocket. And I think that like the lesson to be learned, Tyler hits it on the head at the end of this next clip.
Classic Tyler.
Yeah.
Shortly after last week's episode released, we saw Bull dominate in the scrimmage, put up like 6 blocks, 10 boards. I want to say 16, 17, 18 points, something like that. Mm-hmm. Real big game. There was a clip going viral of him getting a rebound, dribbling the ball down the court, and like hitting a 3. And all of a sudden, his stuff just takes off. And I think a lot about this in terms of taking low risks on guys, flyers on upcoming stars or upcoming rookies, because I went back, for instance, taking a Prism orange ice of Bull. So probably less than a silver, but on literally a month ago, a Prism orange ice did $18. And earlier raw. Okay. And earlier today, there was one sold at $76.
If Bull he goes out in 2 preseason games, does that, and there's this massive explosion, and then 10 games into the bubble, he's averaging 3 minutes a game for the Nuggets, what's going to happen to that market? To a lot of people are probably sitting back and counting the base Prism ball that they have and saying, oh, I'm rich. yet they didn't sell any of them.
Yeah, I think the big thing with this is very similar to Taylor Horton-Tucker or Kyle Guy or anyone else, right? If you're betting on that guy long term, you're willing to take a risk at those current market prices when they explode. But if you're betting on them long term, you probably bought something before the market exploded, anyways.
Yeah, 100%. I actually just looked back at other Bull prices. October 4th, a orange ice Bull sold for $29. And then now it's back up to a raw being $60. A PSA 10 sold for $265. But I think the lesson there is, we saw it time and time again, right? It came to a point where it was about when the moment happens, people are dumping off all their stuff, and that's the peak of the prices. Same way people who bought Luka's when he hit that game winner bought at now what the price is today. Those cards dropped down a pretty significant amount since then, but now it's back to where it was.
He might be nice this year, though. He might be nice.
Maybe.
He might be nice. There's people that I believe in that are saying he might be nice. Just going to put that out there.
Yeah, I just go back to on the modern guys, your risk versus reward.
Yeah.
Are you buying an orange ice?
Cost.
Yeah, opportunity cost, right? Are you buying an orange ice Bull for $60? I mean, what's your plan with that card? I mean, are you holding it forever?
Yeah, no.
So to me, it just comes down to risk versus reward.
All right. And risk versus reward is a perfect segue into the next guy, because this guy, another perfect storm. Like, he's on the right team in the right situation, rookie, all the hype and everything. And you guys could see, this is in two parts, because this segment here is actually from two different episodes. The first one talking about how buying Clyde Edwards-Helaire cards at when they popped off, when they were selling, at their peak early before the season, Ryan and Lou and all three of you guys warning everybody, hey, these are way overpriced. Like, take it easy with this. And then looking back on it after the market crashed. So here's that segment.
He just sprained his ankle, right?
Look, opening night, Thursday night, this guy had a big moment. And I think this is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, guys are putting him in the Hall of Fame after 1 week, and he had obviously dynamite opening performance. But again, Marlon Mack goes down, Achilles. There's just the NFL season is a long one.
Tyler pulled up Clyde Edwards-Helaire's rookies, right? And he's showing what they're selling for. And you see a Donruss rated rookie card sell for $43. And I think the message I want to get across here, I saw somebody on Twitter point this out. I think it's such a great take, is we get so caught up in the moment in cards with, like, especially with newer guys that have never done anything, like Edwards-Helaire, like J.K. Dobbins. And if you're buying them as investment pieces, like, say someone pointed out that Saquon Barkley Donruss elite or Donruss rookie cards you can buy on eBay for like $4, $4 to $6, and Edwards-Helaire sells for $43. So at that price, you're assuming, like Tyler said, he's in the Hall of Fame. I just think we should really preach patience here, that if Edwards-Helaire is the guy you want to buy, maybe not spending $43 on a Donruss rated rookie card that for sure, with certainty, 100% will not be worth that much money a year from now. No way. It won't even be worth half that much money. It's likely not even going to be worth a fourth of that amount of money, and someone's paying $43 from it because it's FOMO, right? I don't want to miss out on Edwards-Helaire being a Walter Payton Jr., so I'm just going to go buy this and hope that he continues to be great. Like, what happens if Edwards-Helaire has 8 yards next week?
That's an all-time. You crushed that one, because Clyde Edwards-Helaire Donruss is currently selling for $1.35.
Remember?
That's insane. That's insane. But I'm over here. I'm like, okay, what if Andrew Wiggins comes up and drops 37 tonight? Because it's opening night NBA. People are going to be on the bay tonight, going crazy. When Karis LeVert drops 22 in the first half, it's going to be Karis LeVert party. And then you're going to be 18 games in the season, and people are going to be not thrilled about their purchase.
Yeah, Todd, but yes, I want to talk about basketball, obviously, but with
I mean, who doesn't?
with the Edwards-Helaire argument, it's the same thing as Bull, Kyle Guy, anybody that has a big game once, that it's their first big game, right? They're put on the spotlight. Somebody in basketball tonight that we don't know much about will drop 25 points and their stuff will go up. It's going to happen. My whole argument about this is, why buy it then? Like, if they're good, you sell their stuff, you'll make the money, and then you continue to flip it. By the time, if they're legendary 4 years from now, you buy something else, right? If you played the game, if you're doing it well enough, you'll do well. If he's not, you have so much more to risk. $40 for a Donruss Clyde Edwards-Helaire? I can't name one. Like, how many people in the entire NFL that have been drafted since, when's Donruss come out? 17, 16? It was in 16 because that was Zeke. So I think it was 2016. So since 2016, how many players that have been drafted in the NFL have Donruss rookies that sell for $43? One, maybe two. The only one is Mahomes, sells for $300. The only other person that I could assume would be close is likely Lamar Jackson. In the way he's playing this year, he's probably $20.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're buying them to be the best ever, buy it later. Why the FOMO?
Well, look, right. Here's the rationalization. The rationalization in the moment of when you're on eBay trying to get involved in the mix is, this is the last time this card will ever be this cheap. It's how it works with stocks. It's how it works with bets. It's how it works with everything like that. Yeah. Right. You have to have the rational brain to take a look at it and be like, okay, wait a second. This is what's happening in this moment. And by the way, I think the market by and large has gotten much more smart about that, right? Like, these moments aren't happening as much where someone pops off.
Taylor Horton-Tucker just had freaking base cards go for $50 because LeBron tweeted about it.
It's always going to be a blip, right? That's going to happen no matter what. I'm just saying, by and large, here's just my take. I don't think Bull happens this season. If the same thing happens, right? If the same thing
would break out and be a little bit of it.
I think it already did happen. It was Taylor Horton-Tucker.
Yeah, but LeBron talking about you and being on the Lakers versus being on the Jazz is on the Nuggets is different.
Kyle Guy.
Kyle Guy.
LaMelo Ball.
LaMelo Ball is a much more popular person. Also doesn't have cards, so it's not the same thing.
He's going to go crazy. His card is going to go insane.
Kyle Guy didn't have the same he didn't have the same jump that Bull did he?
His prisms, through the roof. His optic hollow did like $100. Okay,
maybe, you know what? Maybe I'm being naive and I just trust people to make smarter decisions too often. That's on me. But I think I think that hopefully people have learned lessons here and gotten a little bit smarter about these moments in time. And also people of action.
Fair.
Shout out to Ryan for pulling that fire LaMelo Ball for his boy in Kentucky in the live the other night. I was watching, Ryan. Mm-hmm. All right. So one of the most popular shows that you guys had, obviously, was when we had our good friend Gary Vee on, who gave his take on the state of the sports card hobby. So let's watch that one.
A lot of you will, because the majority of people here are over 15. When gambling started to turn a little bit from, like, you had a weird bookie and a page, like, do you remember? Now with daily fantasy, now it's almost like esports. It's a respected craft. I just don't see a scenario where sports cards go back to 3 years ago, ever again. And say it just like that. I do not think that the national that I went to 3 years ago in Cleveland ever has that market cap, AKA how many people are like, it just, of course, when something goes up 40x, could it go down 19x? That, and but like, without looking at where vintage basketball or some of the cool stuff, I still think at the prices I was buying, and by the way, because I was always buying, if I bought a fucking Oscar Robertson PSA 7 at something and it's down 21% today, it's going to be okay. Because what's going to happen is it ebbs and flows. I would argue that the next rise up of the things that just took a hit, if it's more classic stuff, not a Michael Porter Jr., it's going to go up even more because that's what happens with those kind of assets.
He crushed me on the Michael Porter Jr. line.
I love
I
it.
remember it went
I love that
right
little
into
jab
my
in
soul. It did.
The look on your face is great.
Yeah, I knew it was coming. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's proven to be true. We're seeing it right now. The cycles is something I'm really starting to, I think, pick up on, and why it might be a little Juan Soto time right now, especially on the opening night of NBA.
Yeah, that's the thing I agree with 100%, Ty, is when the market really took off, right? Like right when COVID started happening, the March through July time period, it was just everything goes up. Everybody wants to buy everything. Everything's on fire. Now I think you're seeing getting back to that cyclical piece where baseball's a buy in the offseason and, basketball's a buy in the offseason. I mean, Luka PSA 10 Prisms, we talked about it on the show, got to $1,100. They're over $1,700 now. So if you bought 4 of them, like I said, we talked about this on the show at that time, right? The guy that bought them for $2,000 doesn't care that they're at $1,100, and that's up $700 from what they were 6 months ago. He cares that they're not $2,000. If he sold them to get his original investment back and sold them to a guy that has a lot more free capital, and that guy bought 40 of them, that guy just made $20,000 buying Luka in a 3-month period, right? This cyclical thing seems to be back on to where it was before the market really just went crazy. And I think the only difference is the amount of people playing the game.
Yeah, Luka's stuff is going nuts right now. It's over 2K.
But so is Zion. Zion PSA 10s, like earlier this year, were $475 to $525 in the offseason. They're $1,000. There were multiple auctions at $1,000 yesterday.
Trey, not so much.
Trey, what happened with Trey? Trey got some hobby hype. Is what happened, and the cards went from 400 to 650, and they went down a little bit. Now they're back around like 500, I believe, 550, which is probably where they should be. And
you think 550 though? If Luka's at $2,000,
yeah.
The thing, there was this. Who was talking about it? Maybe it was Lefko was with Jordan. And they were talking then pretty much around this, okay, rookie year, then you go into second year, third year, like you got to kind of cross that bridge. And it's like you can be in this weird, almost De'Aaron Fox type place right now where you're no longer the rookie. And it's like you got to kind of get over the hump, playoffs, all-star. I think you're going to, what can Trey do to get there? And it's all-star, I guess they got to make the playoffs and win games. And I think they're still a little bit away from that. Like Luka's done it all.
32 games.
Luka's officially done it all except MVP and win a chip.
I think the other thing that's going to matter with Trey is he has one nationally televised basketball game.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Of like Luka is there. He's now into MVP championship territory, where Trey is like young kids like him, and like he can shoot threes, but like he's gonna have to like be franchise leader proven. Luka's a proven franchise face guy. I think Trey's got work to do this year.
So the Hawks win-loss total, we're going to go into the Hawks for like 1 second. The Hawks win-loss total for this year is 36.5. I don't think 36 is enough to for him to be considered to go to the next level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Let's say
the conversation will move on to, because then all of a sudden it's like, why would I buy Trey when I could buy LaMelo Ball and he has 2 years of room to do the same thing?
Yeah, Trey becomes De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah. I think that's where we're at with Trey. I've been thinking about it. I'm like,
that way or that way. I mean, you win 48 games and you average 29 points and 8 assists. The conversation's a lot different.
It's De'Aaron Fox or Jason Tatum. It could be very quickly one of those two things.
Makes sense. Well, Gary went on to predict. Shout out to him on his impending W. He went on to predict that the Jets would go 1-15, and that he was then going to go ahead and buy up all the Sam Darnold cards. So we'll see how that plays out.
It's not a bad play.
It's not a bad play. He could be back next year, but we'll talk Jets some other time. All right. So going back to Pokemon, Pokemon, obviously, as everything we said before, just the explosive rise and everything. We had multiple Pokemon guests on the show. We had Jeremy Padower, who we saw earlier, and I'm going to play a clip because he actually gave some insight into the whole Pokemon market. And then we had Leonhardt, who gave his insight into why he does what he does. And I'm just going to run it all the way through instead of stopping and then let you guys comment on it.
Pokemon, 1999 came to the U.S. market. All right, the average kid at the time was between 6 and 10 years old. Okay, so that kid was born between 1989 and call it 1995. So that kid today is 25 to 30 years old. All right. Well, in economics, there's a concept of high value consumer. It's like a triangle. Okay, and the tip of the triangle is where the most money is in any possible mechanism, in any possible collector. Okay, today that 25 to 30-year-old only has so many people that fall into that highest value consumer. But you wait 15 years, when they're 45 like me, they start to influence people who are not in the business or not in the mindset of Pokemon. So now you guys look at it and you go, hey, you know what? I saw some really cool Pokemon stuff. And I remember when I was a kid, I was into it. I wasn't terribly all that into it, but I smell an opportunity. Because when something goes from, $2,000 to $150,000, $175,000 in 10 years or 12 years, you can use your Scooby instincts to Scooby sense to understand what's going to happen over the next 10. And the difference between this and sports cards is that sports cards is passed from generation to generation to generation. Grandpa or grandma, in some cases, collected. Mom and dad collected. You collect, your kids collect. That's 100 years of passing on this thing. Pokemon, grandma and grandpa didn't collect. Mom and dad didn't collect. So the access to the biggest capital, the generational, multi-generational appeal is happening now. Now is the time.
Now, I will say I do have a PSA 10 first edition Charizard card. And I originally, my goal, I had sold a lot of my sealed boxes like Sky Ridge and Aquapolis and stuff way back when to try to pay for a PSA 10 Charizard. And I got one. And I tried saying, no more. I'm not buying any more cards for Pokemon, anything. I'm done collecting. This Holy Grail card right here is going to be the card that reminds me of my childhood of the time of trading with friends. And I'm done. No more spending money on it. I've gotten so much. It did not stop me.
What a run my man has had.
Are we allowed to?
I mean,
Leonhardt's had a big.
Leonhardt has had a year.
But that line from Jeremy about the generational
passing down.
That was one of the. I would probably.
I still
say,
use that.
Out of every guest we've had, that's been the single most instructive line. I would say for me personally.
Buy something raw and grade it and count the grading fee.
I took the most from that specifically because it's so true and it applies. It applies in a lot of different ways, and it's actually helped me think about sports cards as well. And I've taken that principle in another way of where really who really is going to matter in the long term, and why do those people matter? Why do people who matter now who are older matter, and how can I apply that to people currently in sports? So, very instructive line from Jeremy.
Yeah, I use that quite a bit. That was definitely the line that stuck with me from that episode. I think there's a couple other ones, that stick with me with MC Sports Card saying, leave emotion out of it. I think that was really, really insightful. But yeah, Jeremy, that was really a big episode, especially looking back on it, just in terms of what he said versus what played out. That had to be the real interview of the year for us that's a $130,000 investment worth 4x, 5x on his money. And a lot of the things he said were just ended up being so true.
All right. Well, that's our last clip for our lessons learned segment. And now we're just going to have a little bit of fun. I got a little bit of outtakes going on. But before we got outtakes, I want to talk a little Stump the Shop, because there was a time when Lou and Tyler were winning Stump the Shop. Lou was feeling good about himself. He had just sold his Bulbasaur. made about 5x. I think he turned about 225 into I think 675 or something, some numbers like that. And he was cocky, and he was feeling like it was time to introduce a new strategy. Only problem is Ryan then went ahead and used Lou's strategy that he introduced after arguing that maybe it's not the best strategy, to introduce because they may run out of time or whatever. And then he used his strategy to win Stump the Shop. So let's go ahead and watch that.
Are we allowed to buy something raw and grade it and count the grading fees against the show?
I was thinking about that. That's super intriguing. The only thing I think we risk here is it not getting done in time. Then it kind of just...
How much time do we have? We have like 6 weeks, right?
We have 20 weeks.
Yes.
I think we can pull it off. If you got a guy, you got a guy.
I got a guy. I got some raw action I'm thinking about. And I think we can make some real cash. So I kind of want to do it. Just keep hounding Ryan.
I agree.
Yo,
Got the Tyler Hero Blue Ice out of 99, graded it, got a PSA 10. This is why we talk about grading. This is why grading is as popular as it is. You buy a card for $450, you spend $75 to get it graded real quick, comes back and sells at auction for $3,636, and you clear $3,000 on one card.
Yo,
This year,
I was like laughing at the idea of 20 weeks for grading on a 20 day. If I could get my cards back in 20 weeks, I'd be gassed at this point.
I know.
It's crazy.
I agree.
So, shout out to Lou and Ty for really, bringing that idea on and just, letting me hold that victory for year one. I mean, it's great. I
don't want to hear it.
I'm pumped. Can't wait to get those stumped shirts made. Oh, Jason, if you can assist with that for Dallas, I can't wait to watch them wear it.
I'm on it. There will be stump shirts in Dallas. I might even wear one just for the brand.
I'm in.
All right, so I'm going to go to some outtakes now. And while we all know that I am not the only producer on the show, there is another producer behind the scenes, Matt, who's back there watching right now. But I am probably the producer who gets yelled at less. So let's go to some outtakes of you guys yelling at Matt.
The fucking blender.
Oh, the blender makes an appearance.
Yes. Lose. Dude, this is the best.
Shouldn't we save this for the week year in review, this question?
We were like rolling and stuff.
It just keeps going.
Look at Lou.
Matt. Oh my God. The idea that he was getting mad about you chewing up Reese's and these guys filling a house in the background.
We're putting my eardrum.
Oh, man. Poor Matt.
Listen, there's no one I love more in this world than Matt, because Matt deals with us in that Matt wants to do pre-production, and what ends up happening is we come into this StreamYard at 4:30, and then we just bullshit for 45 minutes trying to talk about what we do on the show that week, and Matt does not love that, so he gets a lot of credit for.
That's rich. That is really rich.
Yeah, I mean, we used to have like a whole layout and like everything.
Yeah,
and I mean, that's why he's making, iced coffee in the middle of a, production meeting.
That's why he's pouring cement in the middle of a podcast.
Oh, that's good. That's
in those pre-show meetings, you can a lot of the time find Lou going off and this segment I like to call Card Talk TikTok, because Lou's always singing behind the scenes.
Oh, God.
Check out some of his best performances.
Just a little bad thing.
But then Tyler comes in with the fire.
How you like me now when I give that 300,000?
It's a good track.
What was that one? We did one. We had to find the clip. There's one that me and Tyler we started singing, and it ended up being like a rock solid 45 seconds of singing. That's classic.
Yep.
Yeah, we love TikTok.
Dances. TikTok's a good time. TikTok is a good time.
All right, and I'm just going to end this out with doing what we do here. Let me.
Clap sync.
You guys are talking about a clap sync. Yo, this is the most on point clap sync that we ever had. Look at this. Perfect.
Wow.
This is the best podcast in the world. I agree.
We are going to need some form of Clap Sync 2.0 for season 2. So if you've made it this far, we love you. And give us your ideas for the next version of Clap Sync.
I think we should tap sync instead.
I like Tap Sync.
Matt definitely doesn't want to tap sync.
But can we discuss a couple things before we go real quick? Who are you most excited about for this NBA season coming up?
Luka.
I'm most interested to see what happens with KD.
Yeah, I'm just pissed about it.
I think it's going to be interesting when it comes to because the Nets are going to compete, right? The Nets are going to be a good team for sure. Assuming all goes well, they're going to be a good team. So it'll be interesting to see in a world where, throughout this season, LeBron tops Chrome might hit like 15, 16, 17. What does that do for KD if the Nets are competing? Because what are the Chromes now, right? Do you know?
No, I don't follow it enough, but I know the refractors at KD are numbered and don't seem to sell for nearly what LeBron sells for. I realize
KD
LeBron
refractors are $15K.
For what, a PSA 10? Yeah, but it's serial numbered, so there's a set amount of them.
Chrome's $5,000.
Topps Chrome is $5. So yeah, then that really doesn't make sense. That price doesn't add up. So it's going to be very interesting, I think, to watch what happens with KD and the Nets.
So it would seem like there's more room in the refractor then, because a LeBron 10 refractor is north of 50, and if a KD refractor, which is serial numbered, is less than 15 or 20, it seems like that discrepancy is quite a bit bigger compared to the LeBron Topps Chrome. No, just the base.
I agree with you. But I think the base always is gonna run as well. That's just how it goes, right? So,
go ahead, Lou.
No, I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think your point is well taken with KD, where Kevin Durant has not played professional basketball in over 525 days. Crazy. He has been forgotten, and that plays out a lot of times in cards. I remember when Blake Griffin was hurt his rookie year, right? Like MPJ stuff, in Tyler's credit, was really cheap at one point. Joe Burrow stuff is going to go there, right? Like if you're interested in buying somebody for the long run, at some point, when they haven't been relevant in 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, that oftentimes lead to buying opportunities like this. I remember buying a Durant SP Authentic BGS 8 auto and a Kevin Durant Topps Chrome Refractor BGS 9.5 with 210 subs. Paid like $5,100 for both of them. Basketball season's over. KD's not relevant. Like there's really good buying opportunities for especially people like that. Curry's in the same boat, right? Those are all-time guys.
Yeah, I think Curry is going to prove a lot of things this year.
Those guys are all-time guys that really took a dip because they just weren't relevant. You're like, hey, Luka's the next big thing, and this LeBron guy is really good, and Giannis is winning back-to-back MVPs, and those guys are great. But that you forget about some of the all-time guys that are going to be relevant 25 years from now. I think there's opportunity there. And again, Burrow's not that all-time guy, right? I'm not saying he is, but just more of the argument about buying when somebody's injured if you believe in them long-term.
Mm-hmm.
188 KD refractors, 171 LeBron refractors, 908 KD base chrome, and 2,058 LeBron chrome.
Wow.
Something to keep in mind there.
Under 1,000 for a pop 10 or for a PSA 10 base. That's crazy.
Sitting on some.
Ty, who's your guy?
I was gonna the thing I'm like Durant. I'm really excited about to watch, but I also I don't know. That team just rubbed. As a Knicks fan, I just can't with them right now. The whole they're cooler and it's just no. They're going to be very good at basketball, but I don't want to hear this whack nonsense.
On that note, Tyler, my guy is call it a fan take, but I don't care because I feel like he's undervalued, and I think he's a really good player who's going to have a big season this year. Give me RJ Barrett. I like him. He's underpriced right now, and playing at the Garden, New York. I mean, I know the Knicks have been such trash for so long, but if
he can be good,
I think he's
where are we going with it? If the Knicks win, what's their over under?
25 games.
If they win 30 games,
22.5 is their total.
Are we excited about him?
What happens?
Would you rather have 3 RJ Barretts or
Foreman? He averages 25 plus. I mean, you're
would
talking.
you rather
about
have 3 RJ Barretts or 1 Trae Young?
1 Trae Young.
Give me 3 RJs.
I'd take 3 RJs.
Interesting.
I'm just not optimistic about anything that's happening in New York.
But I do think that the same reason that Trae Young, like Steph Curry, is arguably the most impactful player. Like, as the generation turns, Steph Curry is the dude that changed basketball. Like, he is he introduced the new age dunk to the game. It's like there was basketball before there was dunking, then they put the 3-point line in. Like,
and as long as Trae Young is scoring points and being relevant somewhat in basketball, Luka will always carry him to relevancy because they are always going to be linked together because they were traded for each other.
Yeah, I guess my point was people caring about Trae Young is simply because of Steph Curry, and I think it only gives more juice to Steph Curry's legacy.
Isn't it funny how like
if you go play pickup basketball, everyone just shoots from range.
I was literally gonna say like pulling up from like the logo is like kind of regular now, and that didn't happen.
Like,
yeah.
That's for context. Steph Curry is really like he's my Tom Brady. Like for the longest time, Tom Brady for like the first 3-4 years when we had Chad Pennington and Tom Brady was out there. Like I was saying, I would always say to anybody who would listen, "Oh, Tom Brady, he's not that good." Until it was like, shit, he's actually really, really good. And Steph Curry, the same thing. I used to die on a hill saying that Steph Curry's a gimmick. He's not that good. And I took an L on that.
The best team ever until they weren't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, before that, though, when he was a rookie first few years and everything, I just wasn't convinced. I thought that he was a gimmick and, his crazy shot selection would never last. And he just made a living off of it. And now
that game winner he hit against the Thunder.
Yeah. That's like, I think that was like,
yeah.
Bang!
Yeah, that was cold. That was it. That was when it all changed.
Yeah, but I'm not a real big fan of the mouth guard and the shimmy. Not really. Nah, can't do it.
Brian hates cool.
Hater.
Yeah.
Drinking the haterade.
Yeah. I mean, if he didn't sign with Under Armour, his career would be different, but
that's also true.
All right, but seriously, again, like Tyler said, if you made it this far, can't thank you guys enough. This is we're gonna wrap up season 1. We will be back soon to start season 2. Like Tyler, Lou, and I have mentioned before, Dallas will be happening. It's in the books. Should be there at the end of January for the big Dallas card show. Hoping all goes well. So likely recording some live card talk episodes there, talking hobby and all that sorts of stuff. But again, season 2 should hopefully be starting soon. So again, appreciate everybody that made it this far. Tyler, Lou, Jason, any final thoughts before we close out season 1?
I got a meeting to run to in 1 minute.
Yeah, well, if you see us in Dallas, I may have some short printed limited edition giveaways for you guys. These guys down here, they know nothing about what I'm working on, but come hit me up in Dallas. We'll hook you up.
I hope I can maybe get something from my
podcast. Maybe like the Matt or something.
So follow Card Talk on social, Card Talk Pod on Instagram, Card Talk Pod on Twitter. Thank you for listening. I love these.
Hit us on Twitter.
That's where we'll post updates for Dallas, stuff like that. So keep up with us on Twitter, on Instagram at Card Talk Pod. But we'll see you guys for season 2 soon.